a solo artist, you know, keeping that going, your great consistency there, and building MMG?
I think it's just me being a student of the game, watching the Rockefeller brands, watching the Cash Moneys, watching the Bad Boys, of course, and just studying the game, and out of the love of the art, it just spilled over into something that was great. I couldn't tell you that at this point, 2 years ago, I couldn't tell you that we would be here, but I knew that was the desire, the love I had for the art and the game and the rhymes, the beats. And I think that's what really garnered my consistency. And I think that really helped put us in a position where we are.
And it was crazy because when you started making those moves last year, like a lot of it played out, you know, through social media, through Twitter. Like we got to be part of what you were doing. Like all of a sudden you're flying Wale down, right. You're flying Meek Mill down. Right. You just cut a record and now we hear it. Like talk a little bit about your ability to adapt to how the hip hop game was moving towards like the internet and social media, but still keep it street, you know?
No, most definitely. I think the music speaks for itself. And as far as the artist, it was just more of a natural bond, you know. And once we did get in the studio, the records and the sound that we created, I felt was really special. And that's something that I really look for when I'm listening to music. I'm listening for emotion, I'm listening for impact. And when I was in the studio with Meek Mill, I was in the studio with Wale, that's what I got, you know, and that's what I heard, and it was something that I felt that's what the game needed to hear, see. And that's what we did. We just brought it to the people and showed them how it go down.
Talk about the first project, Self-Made. Like, what was the mentality with that? Was it just vibing off those sessions and feeling like we got so much hot material? Let's really showcase the different voices, because it was a great vehicle to help Wale, you know, with that Way record, and then Meek Mill with the I'm a Boss record. So even though it was a compilation, you know, sometimes hip hop compilations don't really get their due, but I felt like this one was really judged like it was a studio album from one artist because of the high level of the quality.
Right, and I think just like today, it's all about breaking the mold and doing what was in the norm. And you know, people kind of shied away from compilations, but I felt it was a great tool in creating a movement and creating that momentum that was needed for us to be in these positions where these artists could actually stand on their own feet and continue to be self-made, because that's what it's all about, being able to do it yourself, being able to carry your own weight, you know what I'm saying, and you know, be able to match that level of competitiveness that everybody is showing, you know what I'm saying, and it just translated into something that the streets really grab hold to.
Yeah, I always say the key to your success always is your marriage of the streets with, like I said, the internet, and you know, the great visuals, like we showed the opening piece by, you know, you have Spiff and Dre Films and John 305 and your team you have there, so I feel like no one's ever really approached it. Speaking of what Lior said about your drive and your hunger, of really connecting those dots. Like a lot of artists have had trouble doing that. Like they'll create a website, but there's a disconnect. You were able to align these properties together.
Right, I think it's about content. You know, when I was sitting at home and I was watching the artists that I was the biggest fans of, I always wanted more content. I could watch your video on TV, but I want to see what it's like, you know, with you in the studio, with you creating these ideas, these concepts. And that's what I made sure we did. Even if it was just a 30-second clip, I wanted to make sure that we actually gave it to the people to see the process of making music, making records, and you know, hopefully it'll influence somebody else.
Yeah, we're gonna get deep with that because you're MMG artist in here. Stally couldn't make it though. Please explain what Stally's on tour, right?
Well, you know, he's actually expanding his brand.
Yeah.
He's self-made. You know what I mean? Yeah. So he's actually overseas and he's performing right now. So, you know, we're going to rep on his behalf like real brothers do, you know?
Definitely, definitely. And speaking of the diversity, you know, obviously in the music game, making these great strides. We're going to make some announcements in terms of the music, but we also want to give you credit for the other business moves that you're making. You know, the boss keeps his portfolio diverse out here. And we got another special guest, Big Dog, in the house to talk about some of that situation right there. You know, this guy, what is he? He's an artist, he's a painter, he's like an entrepreneur. He's a great brand promoter, you know, and he also played a pivotal role in a new deal that you guys worked on. You know, one of the greatest producers in the game, Swizz Beatz.
Showtime.